everyone knows about Chernobyl. But what if I told you that wasn't the Soviet Union's worst nuclear disaster? What if there was another explosion, more secretive, more insidious, that contaminated thousands of square miles, and the world didn't even hear about it for decades? This is the story of the Kyshtym disaster, the nuclear accident worse than Chernobyl, that no one was allowed to talk about. In the early days of the Cold War, nuclear weapons were everything. The United States had already bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Soviet Union was racing to catch up. Fast. In 1945, just after World War II, the Soviets built a secret nuclear facility deep in the Ural Mountains. Myakh, near the town of Selebinska 40. It didn't appear on any maps. Even its name was fake. It was so classified, even people who worked there didn't know the full scope of what they were building. Myakh's mission was to produce weapons-grade plutonium. The byproduct, massive amounts of high-level radioactive waste, stored in steel tanks, cooled by primitive systems, and buried underground. But on September 29, 1957, something went terribly wrong. A cooling system failed in one of the tanks. Over time, the radioactive waste heated up. No one noticed. Until it was too late. The tank exploded with a force of about 75 tons of A radioactive cloud spread across the countryside, exposing over 270,000 people to dangerous levels of radiation. 20 villages were some were bulldozed entirely, not to protect the people, but to erase the evidence. The Soviet response? Silence. No public warnings, no press coverage. Locals began suffering radiation burns, hair loss, and cancer, but were told they had the flu. Soldiers in hazmat suits quietly cleared contaminated homes at night, often without telling residents why. The government gave the disaster a fake name, the Kyshtym accident, even though Kyshtym wasn't where it happened. That misdirection was intentional, to throw off foreign intelligence agencies. For years, the world had no idea anything had occurred. Even the CIA knew, but said nothing, fearing it would reveal American spying methods. It wasn't until 1976 that the truth began to leak, when Soviet biologist and dissident Yuri Medvedev published a report in the West. At first, critics dismissed it. A disaster of that scale, hidden for 2 decades, impossible. But over time, satellite imagery, whistleblowers, and declassified Soviet documents confirmed everything. The radioactive zone, now called the Easterol radioactive trace, remains one of the most contaminated places on Earth. People still live on the edges of this zone. Today, many unaware of what is buried beneath their feet. So just how bad was the Kyshtym disaster? The explosion released an estimated 20 million curies of radiation. For comparison, Chernobyl released about 50 million, but most of that was over time. Kyshtym was sudden, concentrated, and far less contained. Many scientists believe that, because of the secrecy, the health impact was underreported. Thousands of cases of cancer, birth defects, and radiation poisoning have been traced back to Myakh, but exact numbers may never be known. Even worse, Myakh never shut down. It's still operational today, processing nuclear waste, one of the most dangerous facilities in the world. The Kyshtym disaster wasn't just a failure of engineering, it was a failure of truth. It exposed a terrifying reality. In the Cold War, secrecy was more important than safety. Chernobyl may have shocked the world, but it was hidden in plain sight. A radioactive ghost town the Soviets tried to erase, and they nearly got away with it. This is the History Files, where the stories they tried to hide finally come to light. If you're into Cold War secrets, nuclear disasters, and forgotten history, hit like, subscribe, and join the discussion below. Did you know about the Kyshtym disaster? And do you think it was worse than Chernobyl? Leave a comment down below.